Welcome to the Local Marketing Source Weekly Update, brought to you by localmarketingsource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here, Local Marketing Source, bringing your weekly local marketing industry update. Now, next week's LMS member call is going to be Wednesday, August 19th at 4 p.m. Eastern at our typical time. This is an exciting call that we've got. We've got a few different things to talk about, but as just some housekeeping items. For all LMS members that are on the call right now, I've got some exciting news, something we've been talking about for quite some time, about a new program and whatnot. I've been putting a lot of work together. I am now back in Chicago, back in my office, and it's kind of amazing. You take a month off, and when I'm up there, the last thing I want to do is touch a computer, but right now I've got a little bit of OCD and have just spent the last 4 days, almost 12-hour days on my computer working, feeling like I've got to catch up. But you know, I tend to think about why I do what I do, and it's to be able to have the freedoms for what I do. But this new program, I am super stoked by it, and the reason why I'm really excited by it is this is something I've been wanting to do with Local Marketing Source. You see, LMS has always been a hobby of mine. I've spent, 3-4 hours a week engaging and creating content and reading and working with different students and whatnot. And over the last few years, different students have gone on to build some amazing, impressive businesses bigger than mine. You take Josh Nelson, for example. He's running almost a $3 million company, 20 employees. And Scott Meadows. Many students have just gone on to be very successful. We've got a list of couple of dozen students now that have gone on to build six-figure companies from working full-time from somebody, and these are the students that they ask for more. They lay down and say, okay, I know your rate is $250 an hour, but I want more of your time. What can we do? And that's all that we've ever had. And so I've been talking with LMS students for a little bit of time, just as a nutshell here, guys. It's not a cheap program, but it's very detailed, and I want to spend a significant more amount of time, 60 to 70% of my time in a week. So we're looking at 30 hours a week that I want to take of my time to spend with 5 students, and I'm only taking 5 in on the first round. It's a 3-month program. The reason why I'm taking 5, point blank, I want testimonials. I want case studies. I want to roll this out a lot more to the public come December. And so where do I go first is existing members. We've got dozens of different existing members today that pay us monthly. We have hundreds, well into the thousands of members that have bought into our program in the past as well. But I want to introduce this and provide first rights to LMS members. Now, I've gone to the formality of creating the full structures, creating the plans, creating the material that goes along with it. But the important aspect is it's going to be a lot of one-on-one and working face-to-face, even in some cases. So next week, we haven't begun the promotion to you guys yet, but next week, next Wednesday at 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, I'm going to be putting on a 1-hour presentation of this program. Yes, it's a 1-hour sales pitch, but I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that I know that anybody that attends that, whether or not you engage into the program, you are going to have an hour of your time invested into something you've never seen before. I've been teaching this business for 6 years. I've been doing this business for 10 years. When I first started teaching, I realized how little I knew about effectively teaching this and how little I knew about my students engaging in my content and using that content to achieve success. Well, I've got 6 years experience now in teaching this, and as I'd mentioned, 10 years in actually doing this. There's a few things I've learned. and you're going to see this come out. This is the greatest amount of effort I've put into this company ever since V2 came out 2 years ago. And I spent quite a bit of my time building that. The last 2 years, it's just been on autopilot. So whether or not you can afford this program, I highly encourage my students to get in and listen to that webinar. I know you're going to walk away with some valuable information. So watch out for that promotion in the next couple of days. We've got all the promotion together. My people are going to put that together. Another housekeeping item, as you may have known, we've gone ahead and we've hired both another admin person and a videographer at Local Marketing Source. So we're investing a greater amount of money back into the company. The weekly update calls are available regularly. There's some bonuses that are in there, and we're trying to increase our engagement of the weekly content for existing LMS members. So starting now, you're going to see some, you can get in and see some significant changes that are happening. Very, very excited for this person to come aboard. She is fantastic in regards to video and engagement with existing audience. So you're going to see some improvements on that. Now this week, I want to talk about a couple of different things. Just as an overview item, I'm going to get into a discussion about targeting an audience. And this is not specific to an internet marketing agency. This is for every local business that's out there. I also want to share some thoughts about the new local stack that's being displayed. If you don't know what that is, you absolutely want to listen to what I have to say and share and learn about what the local stack is. It's a game changer. And then finally, you're all familiar with Moz. If you remember, while Moz was acquired and worked with David Mim, and now David Mim, every year he had put out the search ranking factors. Well, now it's under the Moz brand of the search engine ranking factors. So that report is out. It comes out once a year. Now Moz is doing it every 2 years. I want to talk about some of the findings, and these are what they do is they interview 150 different SEO experts, and they determine what are the most important factors in the ranking algorithm. Keep in mind that this is all opinion. So I've got my opinion to share as well. All right, so before I get started, just want to do a little check. Nobody's got their hands up. I've got a good attendance today. I'm happy to see this, guys. The connection should be good. Let me know if there's any problems, because my Dropbox is still syncing, and I definitely have enough bandwidth in the office to handle all this, but I took about 25 gigabytes of GoPro footage when I was away, and my Dropbox is now synchronizing all that. And if you've ever tried to synchronize 25 gigs of data, I'm now on day 3 of that, and it's quite amazing how much data you can collect. I don't know how I would have done that. And after 25 days, where am I? So let me know in the questions box if you're having any problems with audio, but like I said, you shouldn't, and I shouldn't be anticipating that. Now, just to take a look at some of the comments here, Christopher Yates is asking about the idea of the investment into this new program. You can find the details for that. I have no problem sharing that. Like I said, it's not cheap. We're looking at $5,000 for the program, but there are options available to you in regards to get that paid. It's over 90 days. And like I said, when you see the program and what you're getting from it, there's nobody in their right mind that's going to look at that and say, well, that's a lot of money. Shit. I personally spent $50,000 on my undergraduate degree. All I got was particular education that was from that. When you see what you're going to get and the value you're going to get from it, $5,000 is a drop. I know it's not for everybody, and I know a lot of people are on budgets, but the fact of the matter is not only do you need that money, you also need to commit to another $2,000 to be able to market your company, and we're going to talk about how that's put out there. So this is not for the newbie, I can assure you that. And if you've been in this business for 2 years or 3 years, this is a perfect thing to consider. And we can work out the finance side of it, but understand that what you're going to be getting from it is well beyond that price point. I'm going to be working for you. I am going to be doing work specifically for you. And you're going to walk out at the end of that rocking and rolling. Like, I am so stoked for it. So whether or not the price point is intimidating, I know that when you watch this webinar that I'm going to be putting on for you guys next week, you're going to be getting value from it, whether or not you join the program. And of course, I'm going to try to extend that value later down the road to existing members by providing a syllabus. But the webinar itself, you'll get a lot. So at least sign up for it, at least watch it. Next Wednesday, you're going to have the webinar at 1 o'clock and then the member call at 3 o'clock. Those are Central times. Again, I try to talk in Eastern, but I live in Central. Kind of confusing when I travel. All right. Tisha mentions here, she says, my family and I were looking for our first visit to Canada. They're super excited. I will never turn down the opportunity to give a plug for the country of Canada. I'm biased because I'm Canadian, but I have a good opinion because I have lived, not visited. I have visited 7 countries, not nearly enough. My sister has visited 17 countries. Out of those 7 countries, I have lived in 3 of those countries for several months, 2 of them for several years. The United States for 10 years and Canada for 30. And I think I can give a good opinion. Canada rocks. I think everybody, every American, should have the opportunity to visit the neighbors north of us, because the one thing I like about traveling the most is learning about other culture. Americans tend to feel that they've got everything in this country, and it's true. There's rainforests to deserts to mountains to the ocean and surfing, to every type of vacation you could possibly fathom. Everything here is in the United States. And another thing that's beautiful about the United States being so big is you can go to different parts of the country and learn completely different cultures. Sometimes those cultures tend to fight each other and create wars like the Civil War. And now we're seeing a lot more in politics. That's as far as I'm going to go. But learning about different cultures is fantastic because it gives you the opportunity to see how other people do things. And everything that you've learned is not always the best way. The culture difference between the United States and Canada, when I first grew up, watching America from the island that we have a property on, I always wanted to get over there and realized that my perception of the United States was highly skewed. The expression, we all make the same face in the shitter. Well, Americans and Canadians are very close, but it's incredible the culture differences that actually do exist after you've spent some significant time. It's not the fact that Canadians like poutine. And yes, you can get poutine at McDonald's, or at McDonald's that they serve a lobster roll. They've got different taste preferences, everything from candies, from the sweet to the savory. It's very different when you walk through the grocery store of the foods that you get. The fact that Canadian beef and meats aren't fed hormones, and therefore the size of breast meat is significantly smaller, or the town that I come from being the blueberry capital of the world, the size of blueberries in Sudbury, Ontario are ridiculously small, unbelievably small and tiny compared to any blueberry you'd ever find anywhere else in the world, but they're packed with flavors. My point is just how different people live, how people communicate and talk, from dialects to what they're trying to achieve, are things you're going to learn about traveling. And Tish, you've asked me, well, where can you go in Canada? Well, just like the United States, you're going to find a whole variety of culture all around. Now, I spent a little bit of time because I wanted to share with you, because I know most people understand the differences in culture. But what I don't understand about the internet marketing industry is exactly that, of how marketers are frequently missing the aspects of cultural differences among audience groups. And why is it so apparent that we could recognize culture differences between different geographical areas for individual consumers, but we cannot recognize that in business? Most business owners don't recognize this. And it's something I've talked about for a couple of years now about my frustrations with the internet marketing industry. Just 2 years ago, people started to get and understand what customer segmentation was. That $50,000 that I spent on university, one of the first things that they taught me, Marketing 101, was segmenting your audience segmentation, customer segmentation. And although we know that term, we don't do it. You know how many times I get asked the questions, well, where should I position my agency? Should I just go after a bunch of local businesses or should I go after a niche? Well, neither one of those answers are right. You can't just specifically get up and say, I'm going after a niche. Now, you take a student like Josh Nelson. He's been an LMS member for almost 4 years. He was working full time when he bought into the program, quit his job 4 months after doing that. Now he's running a $3 million agency. He said, you know what, Scott deals with couriers. And he was dealing and selling to everybody. And it just so happened that a plumber that he sold to said, we really need your help. And then he started to learn about the plumbing industry and realizing, shit, this one guy that I helped out, others have the exact same problems. Maybe if I go talk to another plumber, it will help me out. I'll do a little bit about what Scott did. And he got a second plumber. And then he realized his third plumber was a little bit easier. And he learned that, hey, I learned intimate things about these first two plumbers, about their business, and I can talk to the third one about it, that they might trust me more. And it was after his third plumber that he realized, wait a minute, Scott is niche based and he's done well. And now I've got plumbers that are asking for my help. I'm going to focus in on plumbers. And that's what he did. And he started a niche based agency. And then from there, he began to build himself as the authoritative figure. In other words, other plumbers were talking and saying, when you want to talk to somebody, go talk to Josh. Josh helped my plumbing business. Go talk to him. Well, guess what? Plumbers hang out with plumbers. Plumbers drink with plumbers. Plumbers get high with plumbers. And guess what other plumbers talk about when they're drinking and getting high together? Their plumbing business. So it's pretty obvious that going quote unquote niche based, having a niche based agency is going to help, but there's a lot more to it. Stop there for a second, take a step back, and let's talk about customer segmentation. What Josh did is he identified, okay, there's a group of people that need my service. That's the small local business. In that group, I can talk different message. There's different groups inside of that group. I can talk different message to plumbers. I can say your plumbing business instead of saying your business. And when you start talking to a specific niche and using dialogues and communication specific to that audience group, you can share a different story. You can relate to different experiences that people are going to relate to a little bit further. So take a chiropractor, for example, now, not an internet marketing agency, a chiropractor or a dentist, and say, well, a chiropractor or a dentist can go after a whole group of people. A dentist, pretty much 100% of the audience. Now, that particular dentist is going to say, well, now, if I'm going after everybody, I'm just a general practitioner. But if somebody comes to me and they're so scared of going to see a dentist that all that they're thinking about is get me stoned and make me pass out and then work on my teeth. There's patients, there's dental patients out there that's exactly how they think. So if there's a dentist that exists that's the first thing that they say, we're sedation professionals and we're accredited by the Illinois Department of Dentistry as a sedation dental professional. When you've got to go see a dentist and you've got a pain and the first thing on your mind is, I need to get drugged up, And then that dentist is saying, we're experts at being drugged up. Now let's talk about solving your problem. Guess what? That dentist is now niche based. And that dentist is specifically targeting an audience. My argument that I'm trying to make today is that every local business, whether it's your agency that you're targeting and marketing, or your clients that you're targeting and marketing, identify their target audiences and create content that speaks to that audience. It's that simple. What are other segments inside a dental agency? There are existing patients. Those are patients that have given you money in the last 6 months. Why am I saying 6 months? Because you should be getting your teeth cleaned every 6 months. So if they haven't given you money in 7 months, then they're a past client. But that's your second audience. So what if you're building an email marketing campaign? You're going to say different things to people that have given you money in the last 6 months versus I didn't do an audio check here. Yeah. Versus a customer or a patient that paid you 7 months ago. You're going to say, like, hey, where the hell have you been? Something of that nature. And then, of course, prospects. People that have never used you and those that you've attracted into the sedation world, you are going to give a different message. You're going to say, look how happy our patients are. Yes, we drug you up, and this is the type of drugs that we use. They're great. You follow me? So why am I getting asked the question, Scott, should I go niche-based with my agency? Okay, niche-based is not specifically picking a specific vertical. Niche-based is defining who you are. And we call it an elevator pitch. You should clearly be able to describe who you are and what you do in the time it takes to ride the average elevator. Think about that. What's your answer when somebody says, what do you do? As easy of a question as this may seem, it took me 3 or 4 years to answer this properly. When my sister, that is a doctor of chiropractic care, has 9 years of post-secondary school under her belt, and my father, that is a self-made millionaire, worked on his own, very intelligent man, and my other sister, that is a highly trained educator, when all 3 of those family members asked me summer after summer, what do you do? They never understood it because I confused the heck out of them. That's when I had to change my thought. And now, 6 years after that, my students are still struggling. So I felt that it was very important to talk today about targeting an audience. Whether you are a local business owner listening to this, or you're listening to the recording, or you're a live LMS student right now on the line, ask yourself, what do you do? You know what my answer is? What do you do for a living? I get chiropractors to the top of Google. I get chiropractors to the top of Google. What is that? 8 words. You can say that to anybody and they know what you do. Now, of course, they're going to have questions about whether is it a paid channel, is it organic, is it local, blah, blah. Well, that's not relevant. If they start asking questions, of course, you can get into greater details, or how do you do it, or whatnot. I am not a marketer. I am not an SEO person. I get chiropractors to the top of Google. That's it. Now, my messaging in my autoresponders, on my website, on my DVDs, on my videos, my webinars, they all convey that message. Well, guess what? That message can go into your tagline. 8 words. I get chiropractors to the top of Google. I can condense that to 5 words if I wanted to. And that could be a tagline. So where are you with your agency? Or where are you with your small business? Can you define your core product or service? Can you, in that elevator pitch, you want to, 1, A, define your core product or service, B, identify the benefit to the buyer, and C, identify your target audience. I'm accomplishing all 3 of those things in 8 words. You should be able to too. All right, let's move on to the new local stack display. You know, if you don't know what this is, well, there's a lot to it. Essentially, in a nutshell, Google is now showing 3 local results. It's not a test. We are seeing it in multiple geographical areas in the United States, and we are seeing it in multiple industries. Almost every industry I checked, we were able to find it. That leads me to believe that this is a full rollout. Google hasn't denied nor confirmed if this is the future, but it's definitely a good indicator that it is. Now, the local stack is showing 3 listings right underneath a little map. Some of the differences is that we reported in the last couple of weeks was all social functionality is removed. In other words, there's no links to Google+. This is a big deal. This means that Google is no longer feeding their social network of social signals. So that raises the question as to where they're getting social signals from. Number 2, it does not have a phone number on it. They've removed that. In other words, you can't just pick up your phone. You have to click on either the display, which then eventually leads you to Google Plus to get the phone number, or B, your website, which has got a big blue bold link to it. And what's interesting when you're doing searches is how many don't have websites. So I raised the question as to what the CTRs are going to be for those businesses. In other words, if you're doing your stuff right, you're going to get it right. You're going to get, it's got the open time, it's got the close times on it, it's got your main category, and it's got a link to your website, link to directions. Well, each one of these things we know how to influence in a specific way, i.e. filling out your profiles properly and building profile authority. That content is going to be found in the local videos inside the LMS portal. Getting directions and having that linked up is ensuring that you've got probably the Google Maps embedded into your website and having that linked. In other words, we can satisfy all these needs very easily, in addition to having 5 or more reviews. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. I really like it. Most SEO people don't. They're bitching and complaining that there should be 7 there. Well, I challenge every SEO person that has that opinion as to the CTR that existed when you had a 7-pack. The fact of the matter is 85% plus of clicks were in the top 3 spots. So I tell my client that if you're in spot number 4, you're out of the game. Guess what? Google did exactly what I've been saying for 3 years, 4 years. You're out of the game. Who cares if you're on page 1? You've got to be in the top 3 spots. This is just more evidence towards that. So the lack of phone numbers is likely going to increase the click-through rates as well, which is also going to increase your traffic to your website. Well, if somebody is searching on mobile, you think Google is going to show that and send their users to a shitty non-mobile website? Probably not. If your client's website is not mobile compliant, you better get it mobile compliant immediately, or you're going to start losing rankings very quick. I have one client right now that does not have a mobile website. They've been sitting on it for 6 months. And I've got to decide. They got 2 locations, and I got to make a decision. I'm going to go to the client and say, I have to fire you, or you have to pay me money to convert your website. Simple as that. That's what I have to do. Because if I keep continuing the service as it is, they're going to start losing rankings. They're going to end up firing me because of poor rankings. I'll have to give some sort of excuse and saying, well, and point the finger, well, it's your fault. I hate to do that. And I'm going to lose that customer forever. But I'm pretty confident that if I put their back against the wall and in a nice way threaten to fire them if they don't make their changes, I'm going to be better off. I won't be wasting my efforts on an account that's not getting results. And of course, they're a long-time client. I'm going to give them a very aggressive proposal to do that. But I have to do that. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about today is the Moz 2015 search ranking factors. They interviewed 150 SEO experts, and they correlated it to a data study. So there was, just let me pull some stuff up here. I didn't print up all my notes. I wanted to read everything that, who did I just lose? Why did I lose somebody midstream? They didn't even say anything to me. Maybe they got disconnected. But there's a few things here. Like there's nothing that blew me away, okay? And this report never really blows me away. I actually discourage local marketing source students to even look at this report because it's very technical. And it's like the same shit, a different pile. Like I can look at the top 10 search ranking factors as the most influential. Like they say, domain level link features and page level link features and page level keyword and content based features. What the hell does that mean? What is a domain level link feature? Like link authority, okay? Like link metrics, like content based metrics. Keyword agnostic features are all factors that influence a link feature. Well, what the hell does that mean in plain English? It means, are there busy websites out there that talk about you? That's it. That talk about you, that have the same topic as what you're trying to talk about. Let me add that to it as well. So I have my courier clients, and let's say I get an article that's printed by CNN in their transportation section. Well, CNN's a pretty damn busy website, and they talk about me, so maybe they've got a link to my website. Maybe they just talk about my courier business. Either which way, they're referencing me, and it's in their transportation section, and they've got like functionality on it where thousands of people are hitting the like button and only a couple people are hitting the dislike button. Guess what? You've now satisfied the needs of link authority, link metrics, content-based metrics, keyword agnostic, traffic and query data, and domain level brand metrics, domain level keyword usage. You're satisfying all those needs. And this report just prioritized those 7 means of measurement that I just talked about. But when I approached it from a marketing perspective, not from an SEO perspective. So I'm still arguing that if we are marketers first, we're going to be great SEO people. And by worrying too much about these factors are going to hurt us as being a good SEO person. If you could figure out how to achieve success with SEO before looking at these factors are going to make a tremendous amount of sense to you. And you're not going to get tied up in concepts like the uniqueness of content. What does uniqueness of content mean? Well, from a technical perspective, it means that your keyword density is roughly 5.6%, that 65% plus of your content that exists on your page does not exist anywhere else on the internet. Well, shit. If I'm writing an article and I'm trying to get a keyword density of 5.6% and getting a 65% content uniqueness, guess what? 9.9 times out of 10, if you write it like you've written your school essays, you're going to achieve that. You know how I wrote my school essays? Well, I was in university between 1995 and 2000. It was a 5-year program, and I took an extra year to get some additional courses, so I had a double major. And between those years, my professors did not know the internet. I knew the internet, so there was a point in time that I can copy and paste, and I did do that. But I learned by second or third year that the easiest way to write essays was to, not copy one, but copy 3. And that's what I did. I'd look at 3 different resources, and I wouldn't copy them word for word. I would rewrite it. I would put it all together and rewrite it. And it turns out that, hell, that's what marketing really is. Everything that you guys pay money for to get into the membership, 95% of it is regurgitated information that I have learned at different times of my life. Very few thoughts are original. There are some original ones, and I do come up with concepts that have never been heard of in the industry before. But my point is that the information does exist. You guys pay money because it's organized and you get access. You have access to accountability and a group. It's not really the content, because you could go out and find it. It's all there. It's all out there. Well, I mean, I could talk for quite some time in regards to this, but I thought that I will open the floor for anybody that's got any questions. I don't see any hands that are up right now.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for a free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.